So what's up guys, Sam here, and today I wanted to look at an affordable solution to a problem that plagues plenty of Canon DSLR users, and that is battery life. Let's face it, it just isn't great, particularly for the lower end DSLR cameras, of which my Canon T3i is one. At best, we're talking around 40 minutes of battery life when recording video, and this just doesn't cut it. So here's a cheap solution. We're talking under $100, and this thing can increase your camera's battery life 12 times with change left over. We're talking improving your DSLR's battery life so it lasts for over 8 hours. Sounds too good to be true? Well, it isn't. So firstly, a shout out to Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter, who I originally saw this piece of tech from, so make sure you check out his channel. He has some epic videos over there. Now, there's actually no official product name for this piece of tech, and in fact, I actually picked this up from eBay, which I'll put a link to in the description below, but basically what this thing does is converts the power from two Sony NP batteries, and through the use of a dummy battery adapter, powers your Canon DSLR. It attaches to a standard 15mm rod system, which helps to keep your setup nice and compact. So I went ahead and bought two Sony NP batteries, each with 6900 milliamp hours of battery. So that's a combined 13,800 milliamp hours of battery life that this sucker gives to your DSLR. So we obviously know the biggest selling point of this piece of tech, and having owned it for a little over a month now, I can definitely say it works pretty much as advertised. So let's take a deeper look at the pros and cons of this power supply and investigate whether this thing is really worth buying. Okay, so let's get the questionable parts out of the way. First of all, the build quality is not outrageously excellent. I mean, keep in mind that this thing is under 100 bucks, but the build is certainly not the aspect of this tech that you're paying for. Build issue number one is related to the locking mechanism that attaches the battery supply to the 15mm rods. Even with the great addition of ratcheting thumb screws, which is super handy and greatly appreciated, it actually doesn't lock down all the way, and there is still a slight amount of tilt movement back and forth. Now, whilst this can actually be somewhat helpful at times for quick access to pull the power supply back to have easier access to your camera's buttons, it would be nice to be able to be in control of that rather than being forced to have that as a feature. And the second build issue is this little on-off power switch at the top. Apart from the fact that it looks like it's out of an 80s sci-fi movie, normally it beams up a bright red light indicator to tell you when your battery supply is powered up. But mine started flickering a week or two after I started using it, and sometimes it doesn't even light up at all, so that's obviously not ideal. As well as this, if you are interested in buying this power supply, then you'll need to make sure you either A, have an articulating screen on your camera, or B, have an external monitor, because the way this thing is set up, it will actually block the back of your camera either partially or entirely. But it works really well with my Canon T3i, which does have an articulating screen. Now, aside from that, the only other potential negative, depending on how you want to look at it, is the weight that this thing will add to your camera. But if you're looking to buy something like this, then there's probably a pretty good chance you're looking to set your DSLR up to be as close to a cinema camera as possible, and if that's the case, then weight is generally actually a good thing. In saying that, you could buy smaller size Sony NP batteries, and that would definitely reduce the overall weight too, but like I said, I actually think the extra weight is a benefit for filmmakers. So on top of the crazy amount of battery life you can give to your DSLR using this piece of gear, the cool thing is you can actually provide power to multiple devices at once using the 5V and 12V outputs on either side of the 7.2V output that runs to your DSLR. So for example, this means you can actually provide power to an external monitor at the same time you're providing it to your camera. So that is a great feature. As well as that, the great thing about this unit utilizing the power from Sony NP batteries is that they're cheap as well. I bought both of these massive Sony batteries and a charger for under 50 bucks combined, but you could buy some smaller ones to save even more money. On the flip side, to buy a single genuine Canon LP battery, you're looking at over $50, and that's only going to get you a further 40 minutes of video recording. So if you're serious about filmmaking and are heavily invested in the Canon DSLR world, then I absolutely recommend purchasing this battery supply. It saves a lot of time not having to wait for batteries to recharge, and so that time-saving aspect alone is worth every penny. There's also a version you can buy that fits the Canon 5D LP E6 battery port, and you can even buy a dummy adapter for a Sony A7S, but I haven't actually seen this setup in working order, so maybe do some research before you go down that route. Aside from that, thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this review of a unique piece of tech. Links to everything, including the Sony NP batteries that I purchased, are in the description below. But other than that, I'll catch you guys later.